placemaking is right at the centre of the whole process, and this actually is the core of the strategic development framework, which is the regional economic strategy, which is Yorkshire Forward's view of how the future will go. And it's the only RDA that actually puts placemaking at the heart of everything, places that people want to aspire to and want to come and live in. And all of those comments on that sort of diagram all allude to that, but the fact of the matter is it's the actual place that is at the core of the whole process. And it's quality of place, and it's pride of place, it's about civic engagement, and it's about enthusiasm for the town that you live in that is so absolutely crucial to this process. And in our town, we had, where else in the world would you find an empty harbour such as that? There was a medieval castle overlooking, there is a medieval castle just at the top end of the picture, with a network of medieval streets all leading down to a charming fishing harbour with a great big sandy bay running to the left-hand side. But ours was there, and it was largely underused. It was hardly, the yield of the businesses in the town were very poor, and I can speak from personal experience because I got to know all these guys because I was the manager of the hotel that they all stayed in. And after about 6 months of working with these people, I thought, this is just so blooming interesting. I'm going to have to get involved in this. So I chucked in the day job of being a hotelier, applied for the job of the Renaissance manager, and against architects and planners and all sorts of characters who were trying to get this job, I ended up getting it, and the rest is history. But we needed to move this place from being this underperforming town. It was really doing dismally badly. It looked great, but it really had pockets of deprivation that were in the top 10% in the UK. We've got some really good things to boast about in Scarborough. It's got the highest level of teenage pregnancies and the cheapest rack of heroin in the country. So they're things that we're not really very proud of. So we really needed to start moving away from this, and what better than to start doing the placemaking. This was an image that came from the community activity that we did, the public engagement that went on, and this was a visualisation of where the town should be in 25 years' time by the architects, the facilitators that work with us, and this is what it looks like. We'll slide round. That's what it looks like now. We've actually put that marina in the centre of the inner harbour. The space along the road there, just to the left of where the marina is now an open, lovely open space. It's connected the town with the actual sea. There used to be a horrid sort of, it was like the back of an industrial estate, to be perfectly frank with you. And the people we had to go to a little bit of war with was the fishing community, because they said, this is the village green, this is our village green, you can't interfere with this. So what we got, if you recall the mandate, we got the charter, we got the strategic development framework, we said, I'm sorry chaps, we've got the mandate of the community here to say that we need to see some change in this area. We want to keep you in here, you're the best free show in town if you want to really know. People like to watch the fishing boats coming in and out, but we need to see some change. And in the end, we had some very good agreement with them and the job moved on. It's about softer issues as well though, is this whole idea of Renaissance. It's about encouraging the people to start thinking differently about their town. It's about a bit more pride, as I mentioned, about civic pride and community engagement. Public participation is at the forefront of what we do. And the need for us to start changing the image of our place was essential. It's needed to start changing it into a more lively spot. This is one of the squares we have that desperately needed changing. They were all formerly hotels in this area, but they'd all been turned into houses of multiple occupancy, and all the houses of multiple occupancy are where people, by and large, when you're released from jail, that's where you go into, as a house of multiple occupancy. So you can imagine if you're a resident of this particular square, some of your neighbours were from the more challenging parts of the community, to put it very, very politely. But what we had in that area was a particular piece of work to do, and we worked very closely with that community. We had a community planning weekend, like yourselves, when about 500 people turn up. Each day, 1,000 people over 2 days came along, gave their thoughts and aspirations of where we should take the town over the next 25 years. And the beauty is all the documentation is still very alive. Many of the projects have now been delivered, and a huge number of people still actively engaged in the process. It really is incredibly strong, the idea that communities are starting to shape the future of their own towns and cities. With local authorities and governments starting really to start reducing the amount of what they do in the towns, going back really to the core things that they have to deliver, such as planning or emptying the bins or whatever it might be, the power of communities is all the more necessary. But if it's well led and if it's well organised, you can be incredibly powerful and very, very effective. As you can see, it was well attended, very well facilitated, and a really useful couple of days. Our organisation works like this, and it's just that's the diagram. It doesn't have to happen like this in every town. We have the main town team, which meets every month. We normally get about 50 to 60 people attending that. Underpinning that, we have 8 action groups. There's another one just forming at the moment, which is encouraging. And all these groups, as you can probably imagine, have all got special areas of their own interest. They all meet monthly, feed into the town team. The executive, if you like, is taken from all these, one member of each of these groups attends that, but also the executive of the other stakeholders in the town. The university has a seat there, the FE College has a seat there, the people from the National Health Service have a place at the table, the voluntary sector, and the local authority and the RDA, of course. And all of those groups work together to pass the activity on. The RDA are very instrumental in the whole process, and Embed are a team of people that we've got involved with us to help develop some of our own people. Everything from minute-taking skills to how to chair a meeting and urban design and the like. We also, like you, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out to a database of about 2,000 people. We've got a website, a very active website that comes from this, and this goes on the web as well as being posted out as well. I got that sponsored by a local rail operator. This is one of the projects. We had a failing museum called the Rotunda Museum, a geological museum that actually, in the world of geology and internationally, was of massive significance. But frankly, Scarborough had forgotten about it. But it was in an area of the town we'd identified as our cultural quarter, and something needed doing about this. So I identified some funding for it, set up a very effective team of people who had raised the funding for it, and we now have a really beautiful building which has actually completely transformed that particular part of town and has encouraged much more cultural activity to go on in that area. And again, a real sense of place around that particular part of the town. Another element that came from the process and the discussions we had was we discovered we've got a hugely, largely and very effective creative community within the town. Artists, we have Alan Aitborn started it really, he's our resident playwright and lives in the town, and we have our very famous theatre called the Stephen Joseph Theatre where he premieres his plays, the 73rd coming up this summer. And so as a consequence of not only him but all the others, we discovered this very effective creative community. And the people from that got very involved with the town team and our activities. And as a consequence, one of the things we had to do was develop a place for them to go, for a place to be, for an incubated facility for the creative community. When we found the funding for this, we identified it, we worked it through with the Yorkshire Ford and the European Regional Development Fund, and this project was profiled to open, after 12 months of being open, to have the level of 40% occupancy. It now is operating it's 11 months open, it's been 11 months open, and it's now just over 90% of occupancy. So it's way ahead of where we ever expected, but it has been highly effective. Another element in our town is we've got a large conference facility. It's an entertainment venue as well. It needed some breathing on and being brought up so it's fit for purpose for modern conferences. And as a direct result of the £3 million we spent in that, we've seen coming into the hotels of the town somewhere in the region of about £30 million of the inward investment, raising the quality and the standard of these hotels. We've now got 4-star hotels and far, far improved facilities around. And of course that is jobs and it's sustainable business. The private sector also stepped up to the plate. This is quite a nice development over on the north side of the town, about £120 million worth. It's not all in that particular bit you can see there, but it's a very significant private sector investment called the Sands that really is all, again, changing that particular part of town. Community documents are absolutely key, and the most important element you'll have from this process are, we've got two. We've got the Charter, which is really the underlying backbone of where you, the community, want to see your town move in 20 to 25 years. But also, we've got, as well as that, a thing called a Strategic Development Framework. It was in Scarborough, we called it Kissing Sleeping Beauty. And I have to say, it's, if you like, the roadmap of how the town will look into the future. It has been fully informed by the community of our own town, like yours will be, and the beauty is the buy-in from the public into a document such as this is absolutely crucial. And it's because we had a very understanding local authority, we had a very, very cooperative and very enthusiastic regional development agency, and it's this document and it's these sort of backbones to what we have to do that really pushes us forward. This is the mandate from the people telling us where we want to go into the future, and it really is immensely helpful.